I'm just going to start the little recording thing now because we'll be talking and then I did that once. I was like 45 minutes into a conversation. I was like, hit record right now.
Start over.
Damn it. Damn you and your technology. Oh, so what have you guys been up to?
Um, well, we have a conference coming up in a couple of weeks,
Where you
and
going?
it's a summit here, and we've got Sonny coming in to do a 3 hour. Sonny and two of his peers are coming to do a sample of the ASAP protocol, and Albuquerque Fire's coming to talk about how they set up their wellness program and their
Oh,
peer
okay.
program, and Michelle Freeman's coming to talk about suicide prevention. And then we have this really cool woman named Bonnie Ekman that does sensory stuff. And so
Okay.
she also is a walking comedian in some ways. And so
Oh,
so she's gonna take all the heaviness of the day and lighten us up and close
that's
it.
cool.
Yeah. So Felicia's been busting her ass trying to get money to cover it. So um
Okay.
she's out there pounding the pavement and making it hard for people to say no.
Yeah. Pain in
Because
the
we offered
ass.
it for free. So,
Nice. Well,
yeah.
that's nice. Yeah. So you offer it for free, but it's not, it doesn't cost, it costs you got to cost you a busload of money to put it on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah. So we're on the planning committee for this conference and we're doing like a peer support pop-up event.
yeah.
So it's been interesting.
Yeah. That's why I like showing up and presenting. I don't want to have anything to do with the planning. That seems like a complete nightmare.
It's been fun.
It's like, well, and Felicia and I have had this conversation. If it would be easier if I wasn't a perfectionist,
Mm,
and had high expectations of how other people should behave.
well,
My
you
therapist.
see, listen, Libby, knock it off. I expect nothing from everyone. I expect really, I don't even expect mediocre performance. I expect my expectations of others is so friggin' low. I can never be disappointed.
See, I need to hang out with you more.
Yeah, no, it's just, you know what? There's like two or three people that I expect excellence from. My wife and my father-in-law. It's like my dad. Like those two people I hold to a really high standard. Everybody else, you're here, you're there, you show up, you don't show up, you say the wrong thing. But yeah, I can see you wanting to be a perfectionist. Yeah, you want things to go the right way.
Right.
I think part of it for me too is that I have this hope, that we'll bring these tools to our community
Mhm.
and the awareness, and then that will help us. My ultimate goal is always to reduce the suicides, right? Like
Sure.
I've been obsessing about the four suicides in the Houston area in the last couple of months,
Ooh,
right?
good. So we'll talk about that because you know what? Fuck it. Let's talk about that now. Because you know what? I don't know that you're gonna like my take on that.
I'm open to anything. I just think that I just wish we could find a way you can't eradicate it, right? I'd
No.
love to eradicate it. You
Right.
can't eradicate it
Right.
because of the way our world is today, right?
Right.
But Felicia and I have this conversation a lot. It's like, what the hell? I mean,
You know what it is, Libby? In my non-clinical knock around guy opinion, it is so multifaceted. When you end up killing yourself, it is the perfect unperfect storm. Um, and so there's plenty of blame to go around, but you know who we don't blame? The individual that took their own life. See, because that's taboo. You know what? Fuck them. That's horrible that they did that because their brain wasn't working, right? Nobody in their right mind, right, in their right
Mhm.
mind would do that. We spend an entire career, an entire life fighting for survival, and then we're the ones that die by our own hand. So, finger pointing, that's what everybody likes to do. The first thing I heard, and I didn't jump on this bandwagon, man. I was getting, I want to punch some people. The first thing everybody was yelling at that agency, What are they doing? That's, you know what? I don't know. I have no idea what's going on at that agency. But the bigger question is what's going on in each individual's life? What's going on in their lives? What decisions are they making? Why did they come to? You don't just wake up in the morning and go, you know what, I'm going to kill myself today. So, what's the history of poor decisions, of denial, of not addressing problems? Now, if there's a record somewhere of them asking for help and them raising their hands and saying, I'm struggling, and the agency turned their back on them, that's a huge problem, man. Yeah. But I don't know that happened. And so, you know, it requires so much investigation that people don't want to do, and that they don't want to ask the hard questions because they don't want to be an asshole. And it's not about being an asshole. It's about finding the truth, because what we have now is a bunch of people running around trying to solve a problem that's not the cause of the situation. Does that make sense?
So
am I an asshole?
No, so I actually I'm gonna kind of join you a little bit with that. Which
you don't have to. I don't mind being an asshole.
No, because here's the deal, right? Yes, there are. My question is, what makes it so that, like, let's say the three of us respond to the same fatality with a child, right?
Yeah, right.
What makes it so that one of us can't handle that and at some point take our life, where the other two go to help, or they are able to process it in their brain? What makes that different, you know? And I think one of the things that I see, and I understand one piece to it, but it goes back to that thing about asking for help. I love Jeff Dill's work about moral injury, right? And what some of the research on suicide says, that people feel like they're a burden or whatever. But I mean, I have situations that I have responded to where the person took their life to get out of going to jail for what they did.
Right. If you're raping little kids, you should kill yourself.
Right.
Before the system gets a hold of you, probably that's a good out. Right. I just said that. It's okay. Yeah. It's okay. But I get your point, right? But the problem is, good people sometimes kill themselves with the threat of going to jail over something that's not a big deal.
Right.
Because of that.
They're not even convicted yet, right?
Right.
So that's my piece, is like, you haven't even been convicted, and you don't know the end result. And then the wrath of what you leave behind, you know, the family, your kids, you know, the wife that's trying to figure out what happened, or the husband's trying to figure out, what did I miss? And then everybody's walking around, what did I miss? What did I miss? What did I miss? And it breaks my heart. I think that's a part of it, you know, like there's a situation that, you know, I'm the two 20-year-olds that were left behind, and they're trying to figure out, you know, how do we do, you know, and I really understand in some ways that piece. My father dropped out of a heart attack when I was 11, you know, so I went through, you know, my life wondering, you know, because I had gotten up that night. So for a long time, I wondered what could I have done to waken up my mother, and what could I have done different. And that's just because he died of a heart attack, you know, blow his brains out, or, you know, hang himself, or put helium over his head, or whatever. He just fucking died of a heart attack.
Yeah.
And so then you leave the wake. And I think that's when with my clients, a lot of times what I say to them is, I really, and this is because it's me, I really don't give a shit about you. But I give a shit about your kid.
Yeah, once you're gone, like, you're out of the equation. You've really, but look at the fallout, right?
Right. And that's my issue. It's like, even when people come in to see me for their addictions, and they don't want to go get help, and I'll do it my way, or I'll do this, or I'll do that, but I won't do this, and I won't do that. And so then I have them pull out with our phones. We all have pictures of kids on our phones, right?
Yeah, right.
So I say, pull out that phone and look at that picture of your kids. And I want you to look at that picture and say, I like my alcohol more than I like you.
You know what? That's genius. Because, you know, that's the only reason why I stopped drinking. I stopped drinking because Nicole was pregnant with our daughter. And when she gave me an ultimatum, I'm not living like this. I'm not going to be your mother, like following your father around drunk, you know, every day.
Right.
And then I said, you know what? I don't want my daughter to ever see me out of control. Like I used to have to pick my father up and bring him to bed, like because he's drunk at the kitchen table, and like that's not. I mean, a Irish kid from Boston, par for the course. But I don't want my daughter to be exposed to that, right? So bringing something in that's more important, and I guess that's why I struggle with. I get angry with people when, like, so initially people come to me and I hand them off to therapists. I refer them to you guys because I'm not a therapist. I'm just a guy. But I go, how the fuck is there nothing in your life that's more important than the bottle? Or how did you get to this place where you don't care about anything else? And, and for me, that was just like, oh, hell no. No, 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 no. And so, like, not drinking was the easiest thing in the world. I needed the clarity. I needed somebody like you, Libby, to go, so this is the life you're gonna give your daughter and your newly married wife. Ooh, I don't think I want to do that. That's a gift right there.
I mean, I really understand. I've been working with addiction since the 80s, right?
Yeah.
I understand once the addict brain gets stimulated and the dopamine hit happens and that sort of thing, and people go down that path. And yet at some point, recovery's there. We know SAMHSA says there's like 20 million plus people that have addictive stuff, and only 3 to 5 million get help. But so it's like in the first responder world,
there's only 20 million. I
Yeah.
think that number is skewed quite a
think
bit.
it is
I think
too.
we're all addicts. I think just some of us are better,
Can hide it better than others.
hide it better. And I think the guy that does triathlons at the expense of spending time with his family is an addict.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's that dopamine hit they're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm going to work out 5 hours a day. And
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Anything that's done to the excess that leaves a void.
Mm-hmm.
We're so narrow-minded when we think of addiction. Pills, alcohol, I got to be, injecting myself. Porn.
Mm-hmm.
A sex addict or this or that, gambling. Holy smokes. Food. Food. Guess what? You know what? I don't know if it's in your medical journal yet, but this friggin' thing.
So there's actually a lot of studies with that right now. There's a couple of groups that are
Tell
out
me
there
about it,
doing
Libby.
that. And it's
knew
like,
it. I knew it.
it's like, but it's a dopamine hit, right? And it's
It
like
all goes back to that, right?
Right. It goes back to it's like, and so there's a thing called process addictions and chemical addictions, right? Process addictions, they're the phones, gambling, gaming. It's interesting. I'm an old fart, right? So I have all these people come into my office and I'm like, well, what do you and your wife do for fun? Oh, we game. I'm like, you what?
What's that?
You play video games together? And they're like, yeah. I said, well, do you talk? Well, no, we're trying to get to the next level. And I'm like, it's dopamine hit, right?
Yeah.
And so like I put people on restrictions for that. I have people that do family contracts where there's no phones at dinner twice a week. I mean,
Right.
it's like, this is crazy. I feel bad for my granddaughter because she's my granddaughter. And she's 12 and doesn't have a phone, right?
Okay, fair enough.
And she lives in an environment that she doesn't really need one,
Right.
because of the neighborhood she's in and the school she goes to and the things that she does. And so it's great because our mom and I had this conversation, and like 2 years ago, I have a phone that's sitting in my drawer, and I said, hey, what's your rule about Lily with the phone? And she said, 8th grade. And I'm like, okay, well, I have a phone.
So how old is that? Help me out.
Like 14.
Okay.
14,
Okay.
13, 14.
All right. So you're not creating a situation where there's going to be this unintended consequence that's built in here. It's 14, you get the phone.
And then
whatever.
you put restrictions on it still.
Right,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
still
Wow.
time frames and
Yeah, and some
Huh.
families do different things, right? But it's
Right.
like, and part of it is because of me. Like a couple of years ago, I get this phone call, and they're in DC area, so they're 3 hours difference from us in Arizona. And I get this phone call, and it's like 7:30 at night there, and I'm like, this is bath time, right? Because she was a little bit younger,
Yeah.
and so I'm like, So I answered the call, and my niece says, hey, I need you to explain to Lily why she can't play Minecraft.
Hmm.
And so she was having a meltdown because one of her kids was having a Minecraft birthday party and she had to play Minecraft.
Hmm.
And so I got to be the heavy, right? And
Well, of
grandparents are
course.
not supposed
Of
to be the
course.
heavy, but I'm the heavy. And
Yeah.
I'm like, and so I go through and explain it to her and I say, no, this kid next door, he only plays Minecraft, but does he read? Can he read like you do? Does he do arts and crafts or can he do this? And she's like,
Hmm.
well, no. And I said, so if you were in a reading competition with such kid, who would
Right.
win? Well, I would. And I said, so then you win the competition, right? And she went, yeah. And I said, so isn't that all that you really care about is winning? And she went, well, yeah. And I said, do you know the characters from Minecraft? Well, yeah. I said, so then go to the party and have fun,
Right. Right.
you
Yeah.
know? And so it's like, so what happens is, and this is my thing with my first responders is they come home from a shift, they get home midnight, 2 a.m., whatever, and they get a 6-pack of beer and they sit down and they turn on Call of Duty with the people that they just got off shift with,
Mm.
and they play Call of Duty and drink a 6-pack.
Yeah.
And so then they go to bed, 4 hours later, and then their wives are mad because they're not out helping with the kids, right?
Right.
And so all the discord in the house. So it's like these guys are constantly looking for that dopamine hit, right? And so then their brains never get a break.
Hmm.
Their brains are always
Constantly being stimulated.
right. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. And so let me just so you know, I'm actually going to be a professional about this. I know, God forbid. I'm going to have this intro and all this other stuff done like a separate track, but thrive with chaos. I mean, you guys got your hands full these days, huh?
I got a good team.
That's great. It's great that you got a good team. Talk to me a little bit about the idea, the concept, and how this thing came together. Because the other thing that we hear, right, is, there's no place to, I don't feel comfortable going here or there, or there's, the services, it's, I don't want to go to my agency. I was reading through your website. You've got different programs, the flip program, you've got different services, you've got self-reporting type, self-referral. I mean, like you don't need to get in trouble at work. You can if you do get in trouble at work, you guys are there to help people out, but you can go, you know what, things are getting a little sideways. Let me give these folks a call. Talk to me a little bit about the concept and what you guys do for everybody, but specifically our first responder community. I'm tired of hearing people say, I don't want to have to go through my agency. Fine, then don't.
So I'll start with that, and then I'm gonna let Felicia step in and explain flip. So our philosophy really is to make everything available, right?
Right.
So I'm crotchety. The psychologist here calls me salty. Like I do everything I can do to protect people's confidentiality. Like
Sure.
the city of Tucson has a thing. If you sign this contract with the city, then you can see their people and they pay you, but you have to provide the names to one person. So I won't sign the contract.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
so
I can understand providing, hey, we have 3 people in treatment anonymously that we're helping from your agency. That's fair.
And so there's another agency, a smaller department here, whose chief happens to have a master's in counseling. So she gives every officer, crime scene, detective, patrol, 36 sessions, no questions asked. So when I number
How about
them,
that?
right? And I send in my bill, officer number 2, And
Yeah.
this is how many sessions of that. Officer number 3, she didn't want to know anything. She's like, just go.
Right.
She calls it the
What a
blue.
proactive, talk about creating an environment. Listen, I don't give a shit. Just get help. Get help.
Right.
We're not going to penalize you. And let me know if you need more than 36 sessions, because we'll
Yeah.
figure that out too.
So our philosophy is to do anything and everything we can do to break that barrier,
Yeah.
right? And so the other piece of that barrier is that we hear a lot is I can't go to my EAP because they don't understand.
Right.
And so one of my my pet peeves is EAPs that say they do EAP and they don't understand EAP. And so I'm in a secret EAP. Actually in the past president of the International Association. So we often don't tell that publicly until people
Right.
get
Well,
to
because of the
The
stigma
stigma.
associated, but and so much of it is baseless, though, right? I mean, it really,
Some of it's real though. Some of it's real. I have stories, you know.
really. I guess I
yeah.
was lucky. I mean, I called the woman. Her name is Judy Cowles. I called her. I'm like, hey, I got a problem. She's like, oh, hold on one second. Here you go. Let me know if you need anything else.
Yeah,
That was it.
You got lucky.
Yeah, I mean, no. Oh my, John Kelly, blah blah. I got promoted a year later. Yeah, I mean, like there was no like, this guy's off the rails. He's going to do this. He's going to. I mean, I think much of it had to do with that individual, right? They were really connected and understood. They had been in the system for a while. They understood that this can go one or two ways depending on how I handle it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Felicia, you want to talk about your philosophy and why we do this and about Flip?
So over the years, I've worked in treatment for a long time as like, I hate the term of business development because I don't consider myself a salesperson. I feel like these are lives that we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
In the treatment space. And I have, over the years I kind of latched onto Libby probably 7 or 8 years ago. Someone told me I needed to link up with her. And you want to work in the large employer space, the safety sensitive world, the union world, the EAP world, you need to connect with Libby. So I forced her to be my friend.
Nice.
7 years, 8 years ago.
That's
I don't even
awesome.
know how long it's been.
I
She
like
didn't want
forcing
any
people to be my
friends.
friend.
She didn't want to be my friend. She didn't like people. She still doesn't like people. And I kind of just like made her. I was like, too bad.
That's awesome.
And she became obviously a huge mentor, colleague, now business partner, And what I have found with and I'm not a clinician, right? But I educate myself. Like if I am doing work in the first responder space, you want me to go do a ride along, I'm gonna go do a ride along, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with other unions and other agencies and other safety sensitive employers, right? You want me to understand your world. I want to be in your world. I want to educate myself. So I've done that over the years, and we have really learned the difference between all these different professionals, right? So when I ask the question, what is what do the pilots, the flight attendants, the nurses, the doctors, and the attorneys all have in common? They all have one thing in common with their profession. If they get jammed up, they go into a monitoring program of some sort. So that they can keep their license, their certifications, there's accountability there, right?
Right.
And it protects them to give them that real second chance with their livelihood, right?
Mm.
Which is also their
What do you
identity.
mean? They don't just throw them away when they make a mistake?
No, they
Oh,
don't.
what a
No,
novel
no.
concept. We don't just shit on our people and throw them away.
Right. So a couple of years ago, we had been doing all this work, Libby and I, with the treatment side of things, with chaplains and peer supports and all these different agencies where their people needed help, whether they were self-reporting or they got in trouble at work. They would call us and we would go above and beyond to make sure that their needs are met, to follow it all the way through, not just in the beginning, but on the back end, the accountability piece, hooking
Yeah.
them up with a virtual peer support meeting that can be logged into anywhere all over the country, all these things, right?
Right.
So we had this concept one day and we're like, why is it that all these other professionals have a opportunity to keep their livelihood and get better? And some of these programs, you're in them for, you could be in them for 6 months, you could be in them for up to 5 years.
Right.
And if you don't complete it, then you lose your job, right?
Fair enough.
So why are we not doing that?
Are you going to answer or do you want me to?
I want you to. I
We
want to
don't
hear
give
your
a shit about our people. You are 110% disposable. We don't give a shit about you.
Let's go back to Libby. You should touch on how much it actually costs.
Yeah.
Oh.
So if you, right. Yeah.
Let's
So
put the numbers in this. Let's
yeah.
put numbers
So as an
Yeah.
EAP, one of the things we look at is the return on investment, right? If you
Right.
pay for an EAP, what's your return on investment? So you take someone that's 5 to 7 years in as a law enforcement, you look at their equipment, their training, the academies, the certifications, all that stuff. And that person ends up blowing out of their career because of their addiction. It takes an agency $5 to $7 million to replace them, depending on where you are in the country, right? Some people say it's lower, some people say it's more. Bottom line is, can you put a number on that person's life?
See,
No,
that's the
but-
problem. Now you're talking
Right.
like a human being, Libby.
Right. Right.
Right. So, but a chief and a city manager, they're like, oh, well, it's it's this, that, or the other. And it's like, no. So we came up with, we're going to do this for first responders. So we had been practicing it here in Arizona.
The flip program.
Unofficially with the name. And so when we kept trying to come up with a name for it because a lot of people's names don't fit. So we came up with, and you've known Felicia and I a little bit, but you've got to know our personality. So the name of the program is First Life Intervention Program, right?
Right.
Flip. Now there's another layer. There's 2 more layers to this program, right? The second one is you Boston folks know you don't take any shit, so you kind of go in. So it's called the Felicia Libby Intervention Program.
I love it.
Right. Now you're going to love the third one. You ready, Felicia?
Oh,
So the
geez.
third one is that if you don't behave,
Uh-oh.
we're going to flip you off.
Ah,
And send
There
you
you
on
go.
your merry.
yeah,
Right.
no. Hey,
But on
listen.
the other side of it, on the positive, like that's the funny side. On the positive side, it's like we could flip your world for the better, right? So there's 2 different concepts. Like, and if you misbehave, we'll flip you off and send you on your merry way.
Right.
And that's it,
I
right?
think it's so refreshing, right? So I can't speak to the fire side of the house. I know they're a little further along in the wellness space than law enforcement. We're always catching up. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, again. But we are so focused when one of our people makes a mistake, does something. Hey, listen, I'm not talking about criminal behavior. If you're a scumbag out there doing wrong, hurting people, you're done. Goodbye. There's no program. We'll take a bat to you. All right. But if you're a human being,
Mhm.
you suffer from an addiction or you're struggling with a traumatic incident, and you're unchecked, and that's leading to unacceptable behavior. We don't want to hear it. We don't want to ask why. All we believe in is discipline. Discipline for discipline's sake. We don't even give a shit if it addresses the problem. All we care about is punishing the individual.
Yeah, you get sent to IA for an investigation and you sit, and it's like looking at how people self-destruct. So like we've been piloting it here for a while. Now we're piloting it with another department in Texas.
Nice.
And
So right now, Arizona and
wherever.
And the
Wherever.
beautiful thing about it is because we're not an intensive outpatient. We're not actually treatment. We're going to refer to the other providers based off of what the criteria is and what they disclose and what they need, right? Whether it's educational hours, whether it's intensive outpatient, whether it's residential treatment, whether it's
Do
just
you guys
therapy.
partner with different facilities?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're the case managers. We're the gap in between,
Okay.
right? We are
So
the
do you
ones that are
find me a
providing the
place that's in
education.
my area?
Yeah. So I'll give you an example in
Oh.
this city in Texas.
Yeah.
The EAP there uses us for some very difficult cases.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so Felicia has different connections. And so like there's a case in Texas that we're working with that the gentleman, when he got in trouble, said, I don't want to live. And
Right.
so he had been working with a nurse practitioner for ADD meds. And so Felicia got on the phone and got the psychiatrist moved, the nurse practitioner moved into a psychiatrist. So we now developed this relationship with this outpatient psychiatric facility where so we had another case come in, and this guy was really struggling with some PTSD, and we needed an evaluation. So because Felicia made the relationship with the office manager there, then she got on the phone. We got him moved up into the process so he didn't have to wait 6 months to get seen because they understood. And so we have been helping him do things that he couldn't get done on his own. And in the process of that, he signs a contract with us for coaching sessions. So we have a retired law enforcement gentleman with us who got his
You're talking about Dawn?
well, Don's one of them, and then Jim McShane's the other one.
Okay,
Jim didn't want
nice.
to be on the website yet, so
That's no worries. I'm doing my homework.
yeah, he's Don was one of them, and
Yeah.
Don started the peer support groups, and so it's a very similar. So Jim gets on and meets with them for an hour for coaching, like problem solving, cognitive behavior. Are you following through? And then we charge them. This gentleman, we're charging $40 for him to see Jim, and as a coach. And so Felicia and I give Jim that, like, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So when somebody comes in, they do an assessment with me. And then I give Jim about 10 things. And then Jim does an assessment, which means they get interviewed by a cop.
Right.
And then Jim and I compare notes. And then we decide what level of care they need. And then Felicia will call, help make the arrangements. And then I send a monthly report in or a weekly report into the agency. So the first guy, the ADD guy, you'll like this because he got, while he's been in with us, he got evaluated, was not suicidal, had a baby delivered, promoted into an engineer, and is doing great. He was 27 years old. All he wanted to do from the time he was this big was to be a firefighter. And so he is continuing to be a firefighter because he was in this program.
And
so
it was really just because we just paused and listened, truly listened to some of the barriers that he was coming across, whether he was told to go see a psychiatrist and he accidentally went to see a nurse practitioner, right? A psychiatric nurse practitioner, not understanding that there's a difference between the two, right? So
It sounds like to me what you guys do, and please check me because I think it's wonderful. I just want to make sure I fully understand it. You are an independent support system for a first responder to make sure that they get the services that they need. And while supporting them, you're giving the agency that they work for an ability to not be liable. It almost like, listen, like, because agencies, they're cowards. They want to be able to say that they did something or it's not our fault. You're saying, no, I don't. We're going to take this individual, we're going to monitor them, and we're going to get them the services and the help that they need so they can return back to being a productive employee. And we don't need your help, agency. We're going to manage them throughout this process. Is that accurate?
That's it. And there's different
awesome.
layers to this, right? Because then the agency has to trust us. So I'll give you another example. So we had a gentleman that went to the union, went to treatment, then the agency found out after the fact He didn't stay in treatment like he was supposed to. He comes back. He relapsed the minute his feet hit the ground, right?
Sure.
So then the agency called me and we got involved. And so I sent his happy ass back to treatment and
Yeah.
said, no, you got to stay. And so came down to the end. He's like, well, I don't want to go to sober living. I don't want this. So I developed a specific, a very structured outpatient program. He happened to be here, so we could do a little bit
Nice.
different. So he went to an IOP. On the days that he was in an IOP, he went to 2 12-step meetings a day and met with Jim, right? And then on the weekends, he had to call in. So he signed this contract. He was under a last chance agreement with his agency,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So he was on random drug screens, We were given this guy. He relapsed.
Libby,
Right.
just repeat that a little bit. Your video got a
Okay.
little wonky, hon.
So he relapsed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're not going to enable somebody, right? So he didn't comply with his contract.
Right.
So we had a team meeting with him and said, you didn't comply with your contract.
Right.
But here's the compassionate side. I said to him, this was like January 30th. I said, what we're going to do is you're going to do a weekend at Bernie's, if
Yeah.
anybody's ever seen the movie.
Yeah.
So we're going to do weekend at Bernie's until February the 2nd. Then you're going to send in a letter of resignation, right? So that if he ever gets his shit back together, then he can try again at another agency.
Right.
So we gave him empowerment.
Yeah.
We didn't shame him. We understand you have an addiction.
Right.
You're not quite ready to get there. But I cannot, in good conscience, put you back in a safety sensitive role.
Right.
You violated
Yeah.
your conditions of employment. You violated your contract with us. But we're going to hide you out. So the wellness person from that agency got wind of something and he called me. I wouldn't take the call.
Right.
Because I didn't want to lie to the guy.
Sure.
I trust the guy trusts me. So when the employee turned in his notice, I got a phone call from the wellness guy who said, "Thank you, Libby."
Yeah.
And he said, "And now I know why you would take my call."
Right. That's
Right.
And so what I like to hear about that is I think sometimes people get the reason why commands get sour on support services is because they end up some end up completely circumventing any accountability. And then you're like, oh, listen, that's not how we work. So what I'm hearing is this a human element and compassion to the accountability. Like you can't, it's not a free for all, man. You don't get unlimited opportunities. It's just not the real world. But I do like the fact that, hey, you're getting benched. They're not going to pull your certificate because you're going to resign, or you can keep, you can live your life the way you want it to, but it's not going to be in uniform.
And we gave him a month of insurance to complete the IOP, right? By giving it to the first of the month before he resigned, he could choose to complete the IOP or he could choose to go someplace else. And so, we worked with him on what he was going to do.
Yeah.
Jim continued to see him for like 2 weeks after. So we didn't just say, okay, peace
Sure.
out, you're done.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna bridge you into help. What you do with it from here is your thing.
Ultimately,
Right.
it's the individual's decision.
100%.
You can never get away from that.
Yeah, and we have to do this as a team. Like I couldn't do the clinical things that I do without Felicia doing the footwork that she does, or without Jim coming in. And then sometimes, the three of us butt heads. Like Jim's like, "Oh, let's give him another chance." I'm like, "Dude, you're what do you want to give him another chance?" And I'm the hard ass here.
Right. Yeah, that's. But I like the fact that because in my 30 years. If the second chance didn't come from an immediate supervisor who didn't bring it to anybody's attention, who was just like giving you a smack in the back of the head and saying, hey, this one's on me. There isn't going to be another one. Like agencies don't give second chances. Agencies don't do that. And so you're the conduit that allows that second chance to
And our
manifest
goal
itself.
is to be, I mean, we want to be national with this, right? There's a couple of departments from where we met you at FOP that we're following up with and stuff,
Right.
because here's the deal, right? That's that second chance. If they give us the person, so law enforcement, right? So, well, if I have a DUI, how can I go testify against somebody I arrested? Right? It's the same thing. How can a doctor practice? But if you go into like Flip, then you can say, I completed a program, right?
Right. Yeah.
I did this
Well,
piece.
don't even get me started with the hypocrisy of any cop arresting anybody for DUI. There was never a time that I operated a vehicle that I was sober, right? Why don't I arrest people for DUI? Because I'm not a hypocrite, right? Because I'm not, I mean, right? But God forbid, nobody's ever going to say that. There isn't I don't know a sober cop right now, right? So it's just silliness. I love it. I love that program. I love that there's, like, when we first met at not cops, at National FOP Wellness in Nashville. I didn't understand completely what Thrive with Chaos, what the I knew you guys cared about first responders, and in my mind there was a treatment component to it, but I didn't understand the dynamic of how you offer. Basically, it's a one-stop facility that embraces the individual, does some really in-depth analysis of what the problem is, and then based on those findings, start pairing them with the services that they need.
And it's not new, right? Because the statistics say, like, the pilots program is called a HIMSS. That program's been around since 71. And they have a 90, depending on the year you look at it, a 90 to 95% success rate because they keep people there. The doctors program, the same thing. There's levels of accountability, there's groups, there's drug screens.
I didn't know any, Libby and Felicia, I didn't know any of these other professions had these programs.
Yeah.
Dentists have them, physical therapists have them, lawyers have them. Yeah, it's all over, but nobody does this for first responders. And
the
so
people that need it the most.
Right. And we
Right.
go back to the conversation about suicide, right? So
Oh,
how many
shit.
people that have taken their life because they were in trouble
Yeah.
could have come to something like Flip and still be alive today?
Of course.
And the reality is we're not going to save everybody, right?
No.
But however, with that being said, it's just like the way you eat, sleep, and breathe, how you were trained in law enforcement and your agencies and what that looks like, right? We understand this world significantly more, and it's just about educating the individual a little bit. Just a little bit,
Yeah. No. Because
I mean, most people don't even know if you don't work in the behavioral health, mental health, substance abuse space, you don't know the difference between a psychiatric hospital and a residential. You don't know the difference between a residential and an intensive outpatient. Nobody knows the difference in the different levels of care of what's provided.
Right.
When people think of residential, they think of a level 1 psych hospital and it's one flew over the cuckoo's nest type situation. It doesn't have to be like that. Now it's there when
Right.
you're in that crisis and you are actively homicidal or suicidal.
Right.
That is a step you have to take.
That's where you
But-
need to be at that moment.
Right, 100%. But if we can try to get you before that, so you don't
Wow.
have to have that type of experience, and that experience doesn't put a sour taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
then
I'm thinking everything that you guys are saying. I had a buddy of mine kill himself a year ago, and he was going through a divorce. He threatened his wife over a text message when he was drunk. He memorialized death threats. Well, nuts. And he would call me every week, right? And I'd just be like, dude, that was the stupidest thing you could have done, man. I go, because now when she brought it to the agency, he's gonna kill me. They Baker acted him.
Mhm.
He was so ashamed. I go, hey, it's part of the game, man. We know the game. I'm like, and he ultimately killed himself over this whole thing. Had there been because he was like, they were ping ponging him back and forth, like, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that, and then arbitrarily, like, he completed a program that they said, and then they kept moving the goal line on him, and he was just like, they're fucking with me, they won't stop, and then the final straw was him, that the wife selling the house. He wanted the house for the kid. He already had moved out. He wanted the house for his kid, and that didn't work out. And he shot himself in the head on the front lawn on the day of the closing. And I had kept thinking that his son was going to be the thing that would keep him in the game. Like, you can't hurt yourself. You got a boy in college. You guys are best buds. You do this, you do that. I mean, I was really confident that was going to be the anchor, but it just, I think it was just so much overwhelming that at that point he didn't give a shit. But I think had he had a program like this where somebody would wrap their arms around him and say, okay, we're not going to fuck with you. We're not going to keep making up rules as we go along. This is going to be the program that you have to complete. Because he'd complete a program and they wouldn't bring him back. They wouldn't bring him back.
Right.
Or we don't agree with that doctor's analysis. These are the people you sent me to.
Right.
I mean, they didn't want him back to begin with. And so they just, but everything that you guys are saying and everything that I've read about Thrive with Chaos, he was a perfect candidate for a program like this. He wasn't a bad guy. He just got behind the 8 ball.
Oh, and when you even were sharing with some of the stuff, like with those texts and those things, like he was spiraling, like that was.
Oh God, yeah.
And
And they just watched. They just watched, and
it's really sad, and you don't really know until you know, right? And so there are sometimes signs.
And there were professionals that I'm sure I had a side bet that he was going to do himself. Because they kept moving the goalposts, they kept changing the things that he was required to do, and when he did them, I think they were shocked that he did them. Like, he made it through that program, like, you got to hire him back now. No, they never terminated. It just got so, I think, defeating. And he was an NYPD cop before he was a Broward cop, so I mean, like, that's all he believed he knew. And so when they took that from him on top of the divorce,
there's a thing called moral injury, right?
Yeah,
and there's organizational betrayal that goes with the moral injury. And Jeff Dill has a white paper on this, and there's a lot of connection between moral injury and suicides, because people feel like they're morally bankrupt, or their agency has betrayed them to the point. So a fun story, short as I can make it, Felicia and I were at a sober retreat at an island a couple years ago.
Always at an island, this one.
Not really.
Oh, jeez.
So we were at the Chamber of Commerce, whatever. So we ended up sitting at this picnic table with these.
We're at the fish fry.
We're at the fish fry at his island, right? So we're sitting at a picnic table, and across from me is this guy. And he's got one of those gunner shirts, has the guns.
Yeah.
Right. And she's listening to people over here. They were retired corrections people, and she's like telling me, about these. And I'm like, shut up! I'm eating my jerk chicken. Right?
Yeah.
Leave me alone. I'm eating my chicken. Leave me alone. But I'm watching this guy across from me. He and his wife. So I finish, and I look up at the guy and say, "So are you law enforcement or military?"
Right.
And he was like, how do you know? He had beard, whatever.
How do you know? Come on, you got a sign on your forehead.
Well, the best part was that she was like, I don't know why I'm asking you this question, because I'm on vacation, and I don't really want to stick my nose anywhere, but I'm going to ask, I don't know.
Couldn't help yourself, could you? Just couldn't help yourself.
Couldn't help yourself, yeah.
The end of the story is his wife had just retired. He had gotten in trouble with the agency a few years before. They had responded to 9/11. He got in trouble a few years before. His addiction sort of got the best of him. So he couldn't retire he had to make up some time, right? But he said struggled with some chronic depression, right? And so we started talking about moral injury. And it just opened his eyes. Like he was like, oh my God, I can't wait to go back and talk to my therapist about this, look it up, whatever. So fast forward a couple of days, we run into him in the airport at this island because the airport's the size of a post.
Sure, of course.
And he just was like, he was lighter. His wife said that it was like a burden had been lifted, right? And it was just that concept, go look into this, because when you feel betrayed by your organization, then it's hard to find a way out.
You gave him a path.
Right. You know,
How about
and so
that?
when people do like what you're talking about, the person, the human being, not the officer, whatever, but the human being feels betrayed. Look at all the hours I've given to you. Look at all the overtime I've done. Look at all the times I came in. Look at all this, and now you're throwing me away.
Oh yeah, it's the MO. It is the it's the playbook. It's what we do. We discard.
And that's why, like, I think for us, it's like every department and every agency and every state, it's always so different.
Right.
What their last chance or second chance or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Agencies have the safe harbor, right? Whatever it is that they call it, there is no standard. There's no consistency of what it looks like. It just depends on.
And it depends really not only on whatever criteria, who the individual is. Are you liked? Right. Have you been a pain in the ass the entirety of your career? Oh yeah? Okay, well, this is going to be the thing that we use to make you go away.
Well, and for us, that's why it's like we're so passionate about how do we create a standard, because there is a standard for other professionals.
Right.
Other places.
Yeah. What's the likelihood of you guys getting that implemented?
Hey, we're bound to determine, right?
Yeah,
We got a place in Texas that's working with this. I'm going to look at these two agencies that we met that are on the East Coast. You know, we've got a 5-year plan of having at least 5 agencies, 10-year plan of having 10 agencies plus. You know,
and honestly, I think it's going to have to go to each state, right, where policies and procedures are written, and that's going to be our biggest hurdle, I feel like, is really educating and creating actual policy to make the change, right?
And I think it's the education as well.
Right.
Like, you know, and when I say, just like what you said, when I say the doctors do it, the lawyers do it, the Department of Transportation has a system that if you're a CDL driver and you test positive, you have to go through this process. So we're using that model for this as well. So it's an established model. It's not anything new. We didn't wake up one day and say, oh, I'm going to create new. But it's the education. So what I found in some departments, John, the people in the department, they don't want to talk to me, but the unions will.
Right.
Right? Because if the union gets involved, then the union wants to protect their brothers and sisters.
You know what I'm going to do? All right. So you're going to talk about timing and things. I got a text this morning from the union president down in South Florida for IUPA. And he's like, hey man, it's been crazy, blah, blah, blah. But I need to connect because he wants me to do something for the reps to educate them on basically being better human beings for the membership. But this is something that he needs to sit with you guys and figure out that this can be a stopgap measure. This can be something where we pump the brakes when they've got a member that's getting a little sideways. This can be something that a service we provide before it gets, before the IA gets their greasy little hands on it. This can be something where it's a preventative, proactive step, because everybody knows everybody's shit. Everybody knows who's not, who's sideways, and it's just a matter of time. But this could be a real substantive step for the union to say, hey, we give a shit about our members we're gonna mandate that you do X, Y, and Z, and here are the people that are gonna help you through that process.
And that's our goal, right? If we can if we can get the union people to recognize and get them in with us, then we advocate for you with the department, right? We're like, here, look at this. You know, I'm a good Southern woman. I will take on anything to advocate for my children, right?
Mm.
But I also hold them accountable, just like the gentleman we had to take, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to enable. I don't want somebody out that's going to kill themselves that has a shit ton of guns. I mean, you know, as a civilian, you know, I don't own a gun. I don't have anything against guns, but I don't think about you guys like how many people. Yeah, see,
Yeah.
right. That's what I was gonna say. How many guns do you have in your house, right? We had somebody go take this guy's guns out, and it was 45 guns. I'm like,
Good
what the
luck.
hell? You
Good
know,
luck.
start your own gun store. But it makes you think of it. Remember the first Beverly Hills Cop when Eddie Murphy opens up the guy judge's door and there's all these guns on his door and he looks over at him and says, "Man, we need to talk," you
Yeah.
know. But it's like, let's keep you safe.
Mhm.
Let's do something different, you
Right.
know. Let's educate people. There is a way to have a foundation. You know, what we've done here and we, you know, can do other places is we go to the places where they Baker Act people to, and we work with the CEO. Like there's a CEO here in Tucson. If I need to put somebody in to keep them safe, Felicia or I call the CEO ourselves. And so he makes arrangements for somebody to meet them at the door, or he lets us come with them, right?
Right.
Because he knows what it's like for those people not to go. Felicia's done that up in Phoenix. You know, wherever we have people, like I have a team of people on the East Coast that are just waiting on us to get this taken care of
Right.
so they can join our team, right?
Right.
It's like,
I imagine that there's a whole bunch of partnerships that are just in the making, right? Like this is just a matter of because you would be the you would reach out to, let's just say, like FHE Shatterproof down in Deerfield Beach, Florida, and say, hey, we've got this individual, and this is what we need him, and beep, 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 you know.
Mhm. Oh, I had a guy that at 11
Wow.
o'clock at night, I was on the East Coast with my granddaughter, got a call at 1 a.m. from a cop here in Tucson. Guy got himself in some trouble, ended up in the emergency room. So I called Jim, woke him up. We moved him to a different emergency room because we needed a first responder friendly one. Jim met the peer support for that department, the officer, all at that ER. They stayed with him. That was 11 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock the next morning. He discharged from the hospital, went to the airport, got on a plane,
Yeah,
right?
there you go.
Because that's the goal, is that if we can do that and we can, I I worked in group homes with violent kids and I had to take life saving because there was a pool there. And what they said is once you get that hold on the, let them go until you're on the ground, because if you loosen your grip or let them go, they're going to pull you down too.
Mm.
And so I operate on that philosophy. As long as you're willing to do what you need to do, you're willing to take care of business, we are going to help you. Now, the minute you say I'm not going to do it, then we have to have a different conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that whole listen, that you playing the victim's not going to work here.
Right.
It doesn't work anywhere. It's certainly not going to work dealing with you ladies and your program. Wow.
The fun thing about there's a couple of peer support groups and Jim runs them, and the AA meeting, a lot of them say don't piss Libby off.
It's nice to have that reputation.
Yeah, it
It does make life a lot easier.
is.
Oh my goodness. So thrive with chaos, thrivewithchaos.com, right? Is that the best way to get in touch with you guys?
Yeah. Yeah, it comes to my phone. You know, people email through there. I check my phone 3 or 4 times a day, see if there's been an email. You know, and Felicia, I'm still actively seeing clients. And so Felicia's my right-hand person that's out there
Right.
on the field, taking the phone calls, calling and working things out, you know. Um,
Nice.
and she's the only person in the world that has my schedule and tracks my phone. So at any given moment, if you're looking for me and you can't find me, call Felicia.
Ask Felicia. She'll know. She'll
Yeah.
know. weird
She
stalker
may be
girl.
on a scooter somewhere
Yeah,
or
she
on
could
an
be.
island,
Yeah, she
but
could
I'll
be.
know where she is.
God forbid. Yeah,
I know.
zipping around in the Turks and Caicos.
Yep.
Annoying first responders that have been terminated, and instead of eating a jerk chicken and minding their own damn business. Oh my God. Good stuff. Hey, ladies, something that you'd like to leave our listeners with before we wrap. It's not too heavy of an ask, is it?
Ask for help. Stop being fucking stubborn.
Yeah.
I mean, I get
Very
it.
eloquently put, Libby.
I'm stubborn too, and it
Yeah.
was very hard for me. But don't make your life harder because you're stubborn.
Yeah. It's just if you ask for help, there's plenty of people out there willing to just step up and lighten the burden a little bit, right?
The other piece of that is if the person you ask doesn't get it, keep asking.
Mhm.
I had someone come in my office that had been to 7 different people.
Hmm.
But she was bound to determine because she had young kids that she needed to get her life together so she could be a good parent.
Hmm.
Right. And it's like, please,
But
there
if you're
are
first, you don't
people.
succeed, right?
Right.
I mean, it took me 3 years to find my therapist, and I'm not a first responder, you know? So it's like,
Right.
just keep trying.
There's plenty of people out there, and you might not get the perfect fit on your first attempt.
Right.
Nice.
But there are obviously a slew of people that are willing to advocate for you and help you and piece it together. Whether it's you, John, myself, Libby, there's so many other people that we're all connected with
Sure.
based off of personalities,
Yeah.
what they need.
It's just, but you guys don't have the ability to make me do the internet search or make a phone call.
Right.
It's got to be me.
Yeah. And that's it's so I say this to my folks all the time. It's the most amazing thing. You could take your squad, right? You respond to an accident, like we had a bus accident here, and fortunately no fatalities, but everybody rounded up, right? Took care of business, different agencies came, did everything they needed to do. Okay, so you're willing to work as a team and ask for help for that?
Yeah. For things that don't really matter, who gives a shit? Right.
Yeah.
But for the things that really matter,
Right.
no, I'll be all right.
And it's a human thing. My dog sitter's 86. She fell, broke her hip, didn't ask for help.
What kind of wait. You cannot gloss over what kind of dog is what is it? What do you got, like a Cane Corso or something? Some massive dog that
No.
this 86-year-old person has to walk? What is it?
He's a toy poodle. He's
Oh,
6
thank God. I thought you were gonna tell me you got like a Rottweiler or something, and this poor woman walked your dog, got dragged down the street or something.
No, she did. She fell at her house. Right.
The
next morning,
I'm calling elderly services on you, Libby.
No.
Holy shit.
He's a little guy.
Okay, thank God.
But she fell at her house, didn't ask
Yeah.
for help. The next morning, it gets even better. She calls a friend. She's moving around, whatever. She can't get moving. So finally, the friend comes over. She gets in her wheelchair, a walker that has a seat in it. They roll her out to the car, but she couldn't get off the walker to get into the car. So they call 911 to come get her into the car. The fire department comes, says, "Ma'am, we'll transport you." And she said, "No, just put me in the car."
Yeah.
Right?
I don't want your help.
She wouldn't let him transport her.
Yeah.
And then later that evening, I get a picture of her hip and her femur.
Oh.
24 hours she was functioning like that.
Mm.
Right? So it's a human condition.
Yeah, we
no
don't
one
ask for
asks
help.
Right.
No.
Right?
Right.
But if we don't learn, I mean, I've been in therapy off and on for a long time. I'm 34 years in recovery, and I would not be alive today had some friends of mine not been very persistent and said, go work on your family of origin issues, right?
Right.
And so that's what Felicia and I bring to this, is that we know the difference. We know how, and we stay with it. It just kills me when I read the suicides or the divorces
Sure.
or the self-destruction, or they lost their job because they self-destructed because they wouldn't fucking ask for help.
Ask for help. Ladies and gentlemen, Libby and Felicia, ladies, this has been awesome. Can I tell you? Thank you so much. I've got a better understanding of what it is that you do, and I'm excited about it now because I just think that it just makes so much sense, and it's filling a void that can really help a lot of people, a lot of first responders avoid situations that don't have to happen.
And John, thank you. I mean, you know, I dropped in your class at FOP just because I was trying to find something energetic, and you know, you really, your passion and your truth and your realness. You know, I was thinking this morning when I was getting ready to come in for this, I thought, what I really want to impart, right?
Yeah.
And real is better than perfect.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
And your realness made me stay in that class.
Oh.
And kept us moving forward with this, right?
Right.
And it's like when you run into people that are real, you know there's hope.
At the end of the day, I don't think we can't move forward if we're moving forward under some guise of false. I mean, what the hell are we doing? But I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
And that is that, ladies.
Thank you.
That was excellent. That was excellent.